joining us here today at the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where we bring you a variety of marketing strategies from the experts that are out there doing it. Today, we have Jason Willis-Lee, and he has a really fascinating entrepreneurship, the thing that he does, and he's going to talk about it at the very end. So make sure you stick around because it is really kind of cool what he does. Jason, thanks for joining us here today. Quick review of the format, and then we'll get right into it. Jason gets 120 seconds to answer all these marketing topics with the best of his knowledge, things he's got going on, his ideas, his knowledge. And then at the very end, he brings us home, talks about his business, how you can get a hold of him, and all the information you need to learn more about Jason. All right, sir, you all set?
I'm all set. Thank you for having me, Billy.
All right.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here we go. The first one I love asking is, your entrepreneurial journey, what is your first win?
My first win was getting a pediatric case study, Billy. So I'm a medical translator by profession. I started training as a doctor. Then I left clinical medicine. I did a bit of clinical research. So I landed a very nice pediatric clinical trial translation. That's a niche I'm now pivoting much more into. This was quite a few years ago. And I charged what felt pretty audacious at the time, but they paid without blinking. You know, big pharma, a lot of money sloshing around. It's pretty affluent niche. And I reckon my experience from Bristol Medical School and, you know, all my training, my clinical training, my pre-med, it just gave me a unique positioning. And that single client or that job led to, you know, 15 years of recurring work and tens of thousands in revenue. So, you know, sometimes one job can just, you know, have a knock-on effect, and it's like a snowball that gains, you know, volume every time. And so I would say, you know, if you're looking for an opportunity, sometimes you never know what the next job is around the corner, and that's something that can lead to recurring revenue and fixed clients. We all want to, we don't want a moonshot client, right? We want to work for regular clients again and again. And I was very lucky to get that clinical trial translation, Billy.
How'd you come up with the number? You said an audacious number. I'm kind of interested. Like, how do you formulate that? How'd you get together with that number? How'd you do it?
Yeah, one of my mentors at the time, she said this is somebody who used to teach pricing, and she said you don't want them to agree immediately. You want them to sort of feel the pain. So you take the number, and then you sort of put some welly onto it. You put maybe 50% or maybe even double it, and you can always come back, right? So if you go too low, it's very difficult to go up. So it's better to start with a higher price and then go down. So that's my strategy. You don't want them to immediately agree. You want them to kind of feel the pain and say, "This is quite high." Okay, all right. That's the kind of expression. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so the next one coming up. So what kind of things and activities do you do in your marketing to reflect your brand, like who you are?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that work comes from two things. Number one, you need to kind of have assets that magnetize clients towards you. So you need kind of the magnets and lead magnet pages, and maybe at the end you're going to ask me, how do people know me? And I might give a landing page or from my website. And the second is authority. You've got to build your authority. And now I'm doing that through a framework. I'm doing this for myself through a framework. I call it the Bridge, which is personal branding, relationships, impact content, data, business growth through expertise, and using AI for efficiency. The E is for efficiency. So I'm sort of trying to get a book together around this framework and then self-publish the book, because it's very hard to get a book deal without a huge audience. I self-published a little book last year, which is just the one behind me, on direct clients, because in my business, Billy, it's very much direct clients without middlemen, and then agencies with middlemen. So, you know, the agencies quite deservedly deserve a margin for bagging the client. But if you go out to the events and get the client yourself, that's more demanding. They could be asking for bigger things, shorter deadlines, DTP, a lot of extra services. So we all go for the direct clients. Eventually you reach a point in your career where you want better conditions. So I basically lean into authority, and I try to stay active on social media. It's difficult. I mean, not every day. I think that's crazy to post every day, but I try and have my framework, and that's unique to me. Nobody else is talking about the Bridge framework. That's my thing. And then I can apply that perhaps to, I'm getting very interested in a couple of new niches, patient engagement, patient-sided research. So hopefully I can, help work for a company and also help them with their business development, because I've, done it for myself. So I kind of have credibility. So I would say authority, number one, build your authority through a framework if you can. And number two, have magnets, have things that you can just give away, just a simple business profile to attract customers towards you.
That's really good. That's excellent, excellent advice. So you talked a little bit about like not posting every single day and doing things. What parts of your system do you still personally do, and what parts do you hand off to let team or VA or things of that nature?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I probably do all the content creation. So I have a services business, and then I have a little coaching business on the side. So I
Okay.
do the service work myself. So that's kind of dependent on me. But the coaching is through intellectual property, and I create the content myself and I build the intellectual
Wow.
property. Where my VA helps me, it's probably with the
Okay.
podcasting editing and those kind of systemizing things. We've now got a workflow where we've automated the just loading the file, the podcast audio file into Mind Studio,
Cool.
and then it just picks out the hooks, the title, the LinkedIn post, the Instagram post. It just does all that for you in about a couple of minutes. So before I was spending a lot of time transcribing. I would use Notebook LM to just do, I think Descript I was using as well. So now I've got one of my colleagues is very kindly, his name is Damien Schroers, and he has the Macpreneur podcast. He's a Mac, he helps people with Mac, with lots of top tips and hacks and things with Mac. And he gave me this workflow, which is just, just upload the file and then it just kind of takes out everything for you. So I do like automation. I'm not the most techie guy in the world, Billy, but I do like to save time and buy my time back. And my VA is the most automated thing I have because I just give, she
Yeah.
does all my slide decks, all my presentations. She does all the podcast editing. What else does she do? Anything sort of technical, she's there. She will do the automations in my email list and Kit, the lead magnets, that sort of thing that brings people into the list. Yeah, list building is something I do myself as well. So just using low cost things that I can just give away in exchange for an email, hopefully, and then you can market to that person. So yeah, I'm a big fan of building a database and then just writing to that database and just being in contact with your list.
Sounds like a lot of the education and things you talk about you're handling yourself, but a lot of the step-by-step and automation you're handing off to the VA, which takes some time off your plate, but it did take a little trial and error to get to that point, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, buying
Yeah.
back your time, I think this, I think Alex Hormozy says this a lot. Wealthy people buy their time back. Wealthy people are never cleaning their houses, right? That's not to say, cleaning the house is
No,
not
I
something
get
we
you.
can't all do.
Yeah.
I tend to clean my house on a Saturday morning, but I think wealthy people can buy back time, and that's something, we can use that time to also create revenue. So I think that's a very interesting analogy.
What of your marketing process have you completely given up on? Like, I'm not doing that at all ever again. That doesn't help at all.
That's a good question. What have I given up on? Yeah, I mean, I get your point. Entrepreneurship is a lot of trial and error. I find it hard to show up for my list. I mean, I haven't given up on my list. I do find it hard to show up. I think I'm going to be honest there because it's difficult to see a constant return. There's so much of entrepreneurship that is the consistent sort of showing up weekly.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And I kind of chide myself for sort of being reluctant to show up on the email list, but there's so many other assets, Billy. There's the podcast, there's the YouTube. I just told you before we came on, the last time I looked at my YouTube subs, it was something like 68. And now it's 170. And I was thinking,
Yeah,
whoa,
that was
where did
impressive.
these 100 people come from?
Yeah.
It's like that kind of happened without my noticing. So I'm thinking, wow, maybe the YouTube channel gets a bit of traction and I can build that out and spend some time and resources on it. Like any business asset, I think you have to throw time and money. There's nothing I've really sort of absolutely, maybe cold outreach, I would say. That's something I would find very difficult. Yeah, I'm going to say cold outreach because that I would get very, very poor results from cold outreach. I think you do have to warm up. You've got to have a system in your lead generation. It's got to be a pipeline that does something to warm up the leads. Because if you're just reaching out cold, as I was on LinkedIn and just hitting up 10, 20 researchers with the same boiler, and I would try and send a magnet and I would try and get the engagement. It's very difficult to get any replies at all, just hitting people cold. So I think I do encourage people to have some kind of system to, a magnet or something to warm them up, a call, so that your lead is slightly, it's not completely cold. Does that make sense?
And I'm guessing most of your lead magnet stuff's education wise, because you've been preaching education so far a lot. So I'm sure your magnets are educating them and showing them what you do.
Absolutely. I have magnets on
Yeah,
direct client marketing, on-page
yeah,
SEO, storytelling. I've got a magnet telling how wonderful Disney is at telling stories, and we can all do what Disney's doing. Most of the blockbuster movies, Billy, that are pitched, they're the same movie with
yeah.
different
The same
actors, but
thing.
it's the
Yeah,
same formula, right? When
that's
when you
right.
go to the executives and
Yeah,
say, "Hey, I want to do this movie," it's this formula, and it's just the different actors. Instead of Tom Cruise, it might be Tom Hanks. Instead of
yeah,
Tom Hanks, it might be the next actor. So I think a lot of this has been done. It's very difficult to be innovative these days, and I certainly think that's why frameworks and our personal story is so important, because everything else is just plagiarism. It has to be related to you. There's only
yeah.
one Billy Salmons. Well, there may be another person called Billy Salmons, but he hasn't lived your life.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And there may be
Same thing.
someone else called Jason Willis-Lee, but he hasn't lived in my life. So those are the things that make us unique, and we really have to lean into our
Yeah.
stories. So I think it's more personal brands than business brand these days. And that's what I teach people to do, because freelance it's more competitive. That we've got AI, so it's really quite tough, I think.
No, that's good. That's excellent advice. And that's why I assumed your magnets would be of that nature based on our conversation here. So you said
Absolutely.
AI. To finish that sentence, let's get into the AI. Let's do it. So far, what is your best use of AI for your marketing? What is the best practice right now?
I think what I'm doing quite well is that I'm using the AI more intelligently. So I'm supervising the AI. Whereas a year ago,
Mm, good.
I was being extremely lazy, and I was just relying too much on the AI not to commit mistakes. And I didn't really understand this hallucination and how the errors were creeping in. We're finishing the year, and I'm doing much better medical reports because I'm just ironing it out and I'm just hammering the AI. I feel that I'm more in control of the LLM, and the LLM is not controlling me. So I like Claude. My favorite LLM is Claude. I
Okay.
use Claude Pro, which is Anthropic, and I've also used GPT. So I think I'm getting, my medical reports are full of acronyms, and it's a letter salad, Billy, from the tests and the
Yeah.
drugs and the doses and everything. You've got to be very, very accurate. Otherwise, there could be a serious error about medication or a name of a drug or something. You don't want to make mistakes on those kind of things. So I feel that a year later, I'm using the AI more intelligently. And then the other example is the podcast automation. I talked about the Mind Studio that my colleague has mapped out a nice workflow. He did the work actually, and we spent 2 hours yesterday looking at it, and I think it was Wednesday actually, and we were just updating my teams for a call. I had a customer call with Beijing, and at the same time we looked at this workflow. And just in a couple of minutes, just uploading the episode, you can just draw out all the things that you need to build out the show and just get that engagement. So yeah, very happy with the much happier than I was a year ago. Let's say that.
You're basically using it as a VA, another VA, right? That's essentially how you're using it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, your website is a free salesperson. Your website has to be generating leads. It's got to be indexed on Google. It's got to be page
Yeah.
one on Google. Now you've got to be coming up high on AI search. So I use the AI like another, a free as well. It's not exactly free. I pay $18 a month for Claude,
Yeah. But
but
18
that's
bucks.
I'm really getting I feel that I'm amortizing my expense, Billy. I really get a lot out of it, and I hammer it day in, day out, and it does a lot of the heavy lifting for me, which enables me to increase my productivity and my billable hour.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm quite
So
happy with
all
the
right,
AI now.
let's keep going on that productivity. So the next question is about budgeting. So if you were to meet an entrepreneur who's getting started, has kind of a budget going on, what advice would you give them about where to spend and what are smart moves for somebody on a budget?
Yeah, so basically it's about authority. So, just if you're on a budget, it's just email everyone you've ever worked with and say, I'm taking on 2 new projects. So, hopefully this will be an authority rebuild. It costs zero.
Okay.
Then let's say the next week you can publish a couple of LinkedIn posts just positioning a new niche. I mean, that's free. Week 3, you could record a few podcast episodes interviewing your peers and get some free distribution there. Week 4, you could launch a workshop on your thing. Whether you can do this whether you're a service provider or a productized business owner. So you can launch maybe a $100 workshop and launch maybe pre-sell 10 spots. So you can hopefully make some revenue in 30 days without spending a cent on advertising. I'm not a big fan of ad spend, so I haven't even
Okay.
put an ad out for my book, an Amazon ad. I just do organic and I get a few bucks coming in every single month from the book. So I think there comes a tipping point when advertising can help. And that's, you see these big $1 million launches, but if they've spent 800,000 on advertising, well, that's not such a successful launch, is it? So, I think those are just lean into the authority. My foundational principles are authority, number one, and lead magnets, having these magnets, these assets that you can give away. Just last week, I wrote a very nice business profile for a client of mine, a colleague who is a client. She's a Danish to English translator, nearly at 6 figures, and we did a very nice business profile just based on where she wanted the positioning to go. And she's in her late 60s and she's still going strong and wants to head on till 70. And I said, look, you're 67. By 68 and a half, I think work can be optional for you with this asset. With this asset, if you go to the events and just pull this out as a nice triptych, a nice graphically designed thing, that's a nice lead magnet, and it just sparks conversations, doesn't it? It just gets people saying, "Oh, tell me more." That kind of thing. A book is very good. Publish a book. Yep. The most important book in our lives, Bill, it's not the book we read; it's the book we write. So you have to have some kind of a book around your framework, and I'm trying to get this bridge framework into a book, and then that can be, that's my thing. So I encourage everyone listening to this to try and map out a framework and just build your authority through frameworks. It's just framework thinking, just thinking like a framework, because that's something that cannot be plagiarized. It's something uniquely you, tied to your life and your experiences and your business, that cannot be copied.
That is great advice. All right. So as we before we get to the call to action and your information about your business, how do you rest and recharge? There's so much the hot button is burnout and resting and so forth. We could work all day, every day. What things do you do to rest and recharge?
Yeah, that's an important one. So anti-burnout is very important. I do a total digital detox. I try and stay offline at the weekends. I mean, I look at my phone occasionally, but basically family time. I have 2, lovely daughters, 18 and 16. So I spend time getting involved with their lives and, watching movies and music and concerts and meals out. I try and take long walks through Madrid, a sort of countrified area within the city. We have a nice lake and there are trees, and we're actually in the city center, which is nature. Cool, very nice nature. So time with family, and the best ideas, Billy, they come during rest time. You can be in the shower, it's just switched off, and you suddenly, oh wow, and then you just write down this idea. I have a WhatsApp chat with myself, just called Me. And I write myself notes, and then that's just how I keep notes myself, my calls and ideas and things. It's not during the hustle. If you're always hustling 24/7, 365 days a year, you've got to. And there's an entrepreneur leading this movement now. His name's Chris Ducker. He lives in Cambridge, UK, and he is going into this thing called the long haul leadership thing, and it's all about leadership not being hustle. So a lot of people hustle too much and they burn out. And I think he's probably burned out twice. And he's just a couple of years older than me, early 50s. So I think I'm pretty big on, I don't like to be at work after 6, 5:36 maximum. Cool. I start early. I'm an early riser. I don't take meetings before 12 o'clock. So I have sort of this personal discipline of how I recharge and how I rest. And I encourage all of you to do that so you don't burn out.
Yeah, so the overarching theme, I think, throughout this one has been the frameworks and the frameworks that you have set up, custom to your life, custom to your business, and very custom to where your goals are and where your future goals are going to be. Like you seem very organized, very set up, very customized, and it's some really solid advice. So if you can take us out, if you can talk about your business and where people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so best place is the website, the Entrepreneurial Translator. It's just entrepreneurialtranslator.com, which is me, Jason Willis-Lee. And if you want to pick up a free download, just put a slash there and write direct clients or on-page SEO. On-page SEO, that'll take you into an SEO worksheet. Direct clients will give you bags of 10 ideas of how to pitch for customers and find new business. So I'm a medical translator by day, Billy. I translate Spanish and French into English. It's usually clinical trials or technical medical reports, mainly from Spanish. And I'm now moving into patient-sided research, patient engagement for clinical trials. And then on the side, I just very much like this business development, the things I've been talking about, client attraction strategies, authority. I'm very interested in that. I go to the events. There's a big event in the UK called Atomicon, which I encourage you to come over. It's in the Glass House in Newcastle, and loads of people from the States come over. And last year we had Laura Belgray keynoting, who's an incredible New York copywriter, and she just blew the house down with her talk. And I just love, I love business. I'm interested in the mechanics of how we get work.
Yes.
And I passionately believe that is through having the assets to magnetize people towards you and having the authority. You've got to have a little bit of authority, and people say, oh, that guy, he's the guy who talks about the bridge framework, and he's the entrepreneurial translator. And just not being in a sea of the same, right? Because if you're just swimming, you've got to have a differentiator. And the easiest differentiator for you is lean into your life, into Billy Simons, and me, my life, Jason Willis-Lee. You just talk about your likes and your hobbies and your thing. And it sounds a bit narcissistic, but it is the way to sort of differentiate yourself from everyone else, right? And you're just not swimming in the sea of the same.
That's wonderful. All right, so everybody, make sure you go to the website. You'll be some nice, well set up, educated lead magnets to check out some information and to set up a time to have a chat with Jason about how you guys can develop your business together and work on marketing. So, Jason, I appreciate your time today and your wealth of knowledge.
Oh, thank you so much, Rami. It's been a pleasure, Billy. Thank you so much.